Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Loki, for your introduction. I must say I had no idea that Impact was so active and innovative in the field of sustainability. And Dr. Botha, wow, tough act to follow. I've never met an economist that was both entertaining and optimistic. You definitely have a new fan in me, and I'm sure quite a few in the room. I can see why he gets invited back each year. So I'm going to build on some of the key points made by both of our previous speakers. As you saw from the agenda, I sit between you and a break, so bear with me. I cannot match the humor of the previous speaker, but I do know nothing about the MPC, so I won't be saying any more about that. So, there is a saying in retail that we never have a dull day. In an already dynamic industry, the pace of change in retail over the last 5 years has just been unprecedented and exhausting. The main driver of change is the evolution of consumer needs, but the pandemic, geopolitical environment, and pace of technological innovation have combined to create both opportunities and challenges as never before. And today, the impacts come fast. Companies must respond quickly and flexibly, and being agile is the name of the game. We can plan on short, medium, and long-term horizons, but can only do so in a volatile and uncertain environment where we constantly need to revisit our strategies as the environment changes. My job today is to highlight some of the key global and local consumer and industry trends that are relevant to the retail value chain, and give you a sense of what some of these shifts mean for our supply chains. I'm a big believer that the most productive conversations about retail start with the customer. So let's look at consumer needs and 7 macro trends in behavior: intentional spending, changing societies, health, digital convenience, localism, experiential, and sustainability. So our first trend is intentional spending. Currently, the most powerful driver in the mass market globally and locally is the demand for value. Economic uncertainty and the knock-on effects from the pandemic and cost of living crisis are changing behaviors across demographics. Locally, food inflation, as mentioned by Dr. Botha, of more than 10% for every one of the last 12 months has been devastating. Most consumers are less loyal, are shopping a greater portfolio of retailers and brands in their search for value, trading out of discretionary categories and down price tiers, out of brands and into private label, and being much more deal-driven or promotional in their choices. For many, the definition of value is also broader, including quality, transparency, and fit with their personal values, as well as price. In short, across the spectrum, shoppers are becoming more selective and mindful in their spending. Trend number 2 is changing societies. Societies are transforming, driven by shifting demographics, economic pressures, technology, a prevalence of smaller households, and a newfound outlook around embracing individual differences. This increasingly diverse population has varying and very specific needs, resulting in changing expectations of products and retailers, as well as new buying behavior. Generation Z are particularly individualistic and disruptive. The now generation, those young people of today, don't understand why you might want to wait for something. This growing expectation for tailored products and on-demand services will add complexity to the retail offer in all sectors. Health is trend number 3. Health and wellness have become mainstream desires, no longer limited to niche groups. Consumers have a wide range of wellness aspirations, from simply looking good to managing illness or intolerance to achieving holistic well-being. This pursuit is driving demand for solutions that are tailored to specific lifestyles and unique health needs. The fresh, perishable, and frozen categories will remain a key battleground for retailers to demonstrate their health credentials, but but there is also a blurring of industries in customers' eyes. Food, health and beauty, and pharmacy each have different supply chains, but consumers expect them all to be presented as part of a complete wellness offer. Finally, the ability to deliver both health and value is a huge opportunity for suppliers and retailers, as yet largely untapped. Trend number 4 is digital convenience, and it gets a lot of airtime. As global digital adoption and integration accelerate, the lines between the physical and digital continue to blur. Phygital is actually now a word. A broadened ease of using technology, including amongst older consumers, increase of use of digital channels for both researching and buying products, the desire for connection online, and expectations of any time, anywhere, will continue to force retail evolution and propel innovation forward. And we'll touch on what that looks like just now. Localism is trend number 5. A renewed pride in local culture and products across nations globally is also strongly felt in SA. A partial consequence of the pandemic is an increased interest in consumers supporting small and medium-sized local businesses in order to help local economies thrive, shorten supply chains, and satisfy demand for more transparency in the provenance of products and services. The market for local products is growing, but it is very difficult to measure. The combination of localism and desire for convenience is driving a greater reliance on neighbourhood stores, for example, a trend that peaked during the pandemic and remains strong, as well as the growth of new direct-to-consumer channels like YouCook. Trend number 6 is experiential. In an increasingly turbulent world, overwhelmed consumers are looking for ways to drive satisfaction and happiness in everyday life. As a result, the demand for products, services, and experiences that deliver enhanced engagement and simple joys is more pronounced. Customers are more prepared to prioritize experiences over products in their purchasing behavior, allocating a greater proportion of their budget for travel, leisure activities, and cultural experiences. And when they do shop, they want more engagement, surprise, and richer experiences. Now on to sustainability, our final macro trend. It's an increasing environmental and social consciousness, with more consumers now making the direct connection between the products they buy and their impact on animals, people, and the environment. The pandemic gave everyone time to reflect on their consumption habits and a wish to build back better, which is a term coined by McKinsey, emerged. This trend is fueled by the rising concerns around climate change and increased awareness enabled by greater access to information online. As Loki mentioned, more education is also a factor. Teaching younger generations about sustainable living is leading to a stronger association with the environment and impacting the lifestyle choices of the young in particular. Consumers will take social and environmental issues more seriously going forward and will have more empathy for brands with strong senses of social and environmental responsibility and support brands that commit to make the world cleaner, healthier, more resilient, and equitable. So that's the consumer landscape. I'd now like to highlight the key shifts as I see them in the retail industry overall. And again, I have some key themes, 6 in this case: value transformation, reinvented stores, omni-channel, frictionless, relevance, and again, sustainability. So the first, value transformation. The combination of cash-strapped consumers plus extreme business cost inflation is a challenging recipe for retailers, given a particular flavour by the load-shedding challenges locally. Business failures are an obvious consequence, and we can expect further consolidation across markets as the benefits of scale become even more necessary and attractive. Margin pressure is forcing businesses to restructure their business models and organizations and identify new sources of value through synergies and efficiencies. One game changer is range rationalization, pursued to its zenith by the hard discounters globally and at the heart of Boxer's success locally. Broad ranges with long, unproductive tails add cost to manufacturer and retailer operations alike, and pressure to prune brands and variants will grow for physical stores. Online, of course, is different. Retailers are expected by consumers to have the broadest possible online range. A retailer's positioning and strategy on price and promotion is more and more a driver of success also. The discount channel is by far the fastest growing globally outside e-commerce, reaching significant scale in most markets, and again demonstrated locally by the rapid expansion of Boxer over the last decade in grocery and the growth of the value sector retailers in fashion. Oh, apologies, didn't bring that forward. Sorry. Especially for mid and upper tier players, and in the fashion and GM sectors, we can expect fewer, better stores with elevated experience. In grocery, expect easily accessible community-based stores to continue to thrive for frequent top-up shopping, as well as full-service destinations in key nodes with those broader ranges also supporting online fulfillment. Digital services and capabilities will feature more in physical stores, supporting the transformation from point of sale to point of experience, where customers will seek the same tailored engagement they know from online. Value-added services at point of sale will be a differentiator. It will be less about retail personnel servicing the store, but customer experience managers with the back end of the store increasingly automated. A much more sophisticated back-of-house operation with emphasis on speed and productivity needs to be enabled by tighter processes and bespoke roll-in, roll-out handling equipment. Collaborations and pop-up stores may also become more plentiful to allow retailers to achieve brand and short-term marketing goals, as well as to test real estate. Our third theme, and perhaps most challenging, is omnichannel. Advanced retailers have already let go of the classic differentiation between retail and e-commerce business. Retailers are integrating online and offline channels to provide a unified, seamless shopping experience that connects physical stores, online platforms, and mobile applications. This omni-channel world is requiring huge investment in infrastructure at scale that provides transparency, IT connectivity, real-time controls, and integrated logistics systems. In this world, new retail functions are being performed in-store. In-store orders are shipped from store, click and collect, and buy online, return in-store. Perfect availability is demanded anywhere at any time, and ever-shortening lead times for both orders and deliveries leave little room for maneuver. In product offer, we can expect faster changes of seasons in stores to compete with the breadth of offer and newness online, with more frequent launches and peaks through the supply chain, with the resulting dynamic changes to never out of stock and replenishment parameters. A profound shift in online sales within the next 5 years may be the replacement of proprietary online shops by the development of shopping functionalities in search engines and on social media platforms, potentially bypassing traditional retail. The challenges of providing trusted payment options and ensuring secure checkout and fast and efficient delivery, especially for townships and rural areas, remain key barriers to online penetration in South Africa, as well as high data costs and poor fibre-based internet penetration. So how big will e-commerce be in this omni-channel world? For grocery, it is estimated that e-commerce sales could reach between 18% and 30% by 2030 in the lead densely populated markets of Northern Europe, with 3 to 7% of that represented by on-demand 15 to 30-minute delivery specialists. For South Africa, that is expected to be much less, somewhere between 8 and 10% by 2030, with 70% of that being on-demand deliveries, 25% scheduled, and the remainder click and collect. In fashion and general merchandise, lead markets already exceed 30% online penetration, hitting an unbelievable 45% already in China. Online sales in these categories locally, though, are estimated at only 8% by 2028, of which the vast majority will be scheduled deliveries. E-commerce profitability remains a huge challenge, especially in grocery, viewing e-commerce not as a sales channel, but as an investment in brand, customer acquisition, loyalty, insights, and engagement, as Checkers have done with 60/60, is the only way to make that equation palatable. Without the benefit of a market of scale, local pure plays may also follow Amazon's lead and, through collaboration or acquisition, develop a physical store presence to build scale economies. Our next theme is frictionless. So the concept of reducing friction in stores is not new, as consumers consistently place convenience as a key factor in deciding where to shop. However, the technology in this space has advanced so quickly that fully frictionless stores, enabling customers to enter, pick up their products, and simply walk out without the need to scan, queue, or check out, now exist in a number of markets and are being rolled out. More realistic and palatable for Africa for lots of reasons, not least of which is sustaining employment. A partial execution of this model is more likely. Self-service technologies such as self-checkout and scan and go, and use of mobile POS allowing staff to manage queues and personalize service are much more palatable than cashierless stores here. Card or device-based contactless payments speeding up checkout are already endemic. And we can expect that voice shopping, where Alexa and the like not only place an order, but manage the whole shopping transaction through to delivery, are not far away. Completely new payment, buy now, pay later methods have been making the news, as well as the enabling of cryptocurrency payments for the first time. This is all about retailers making themselves the most convenient place to shop and providing cash-strapped consumers with access to limited credit in order to take the sale today. Now, staying relevant is the superpower of great retailers. We've spoken of changing societies, greater individualism, and very specific consumer needs around things like health. This means that the ability to segment customers is mission critical for retailers. Increasingly, success depends on the ability to leverage big data, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to refine the proposition and communicate to each segment and ultimately down to individuals using the power of the transaction data gathered via loyalty cards and other external sources. Different customers shop different stores and channels in very different ways. In South Africa, this behavior is overlaid on what is officially, obviously, the most polarized society in the world in terms of wealth distribution. So servicing the very different profiles of customers across stores in a manageable way is being enabled by the latest machine learning and AI algorithms supplied by companies like Retailigence, where I am a partner. These tools allow retailers to group like stores into manageable numbers of store clusters and tailor allocation of space and range to best meet the needs of the profile of customers shopping each category in each of those clusters. As well as clustering stores based on shopping behavior, retailers are seeking to meet that need for localization of product offer, particularly in fresh, perishable, and the grocery categories. That means somewhat tighter ranging at a national level is being balanced with more local and regional ranging, with the pendulum swinging back to a proportion of range decisions sitting with regional and store managers for some retailers. Finally, tech is already supporting improved execution in stores. The AI in Retailigence X-ray tool helps head office and store teams identify ranging and product performance issues in real time by finding anomalies in sales performance, so reducing out of stocks and ensuring integrity of pricing and display. So, the lens through which we must view all of these themes is our core theme today, sustainability. It's becoming increasingly critical for all retail stakeholders, wanted by consumers, by employees, and by investors. There will be a shift to greater legal regulation of this space. Within their own operations, those of logistics partners, and up through the value chain to raw material and input sourcing, retailers will be obliged to drive aggressive change or be punished by consumers and investors who want to support businesses aligned with their values. It is already changing what we source, how, from where, and from whom. Products themselves, as mentioned by Loki, must meet sustainable and ethical standards, being built increasingly for durability, reuse, and recycling. Resale models and circularity will be promoted and regulated across industries. Limiting waste will continue to be a more powerful driver of decision-making. Green thinking is already driving procurement of store energy, supplies, and redesign of processes. A big challenge for us in retail is the collection of base data, including greenhouse gas emissions, so that companies can establish their baseline, set targets, measure progress, hold their teams accountable, and report externally. So all that said, who will be the winners and losers in retail? I would say look to those with strong leadership, with customer-focused businesses that learn from others and innovate at pace, and with clear, simple propositions, resilient business models, and who are integrating sustainability into their strategies and culture. So, we've had 7 consumer trends, 6 industry themes. Now, what does this mean for our supply chains? Firstly, how do we go about designing a future-fit supply chain today? There are so many parameters to consider that there is no one universally applicable solution. The ideal would depend on the individual objectives, challenges, and parameters of each of your businesses. While being conscious of international trends and consumer and industry drivers of change globally, African markets are different in some very basic respects. For example, unemployment in the US, Europe, and Australasia is at an all-time low. People do not want to take lower-paid jobs in stores, DCs, and logistics. There are thousands of jobs available, but no one to fill roles. Contrast that to Africa, where in many markets unemployment approaches 50% and labor is cheap. Investment in technology and automation, replacing manual work, therefore can be a challenge in terms of return on investment. The business case just isn't there. So in this context, I'm going with 5 key principles to consider in your future supply chain: flexibility and scalability, resilience, data-driven success, automation, and again, our theme. I'll start with flexibility and scalability. In retail, there is no longer a classic linear supply chain from the source to the sink. We now need logistics, storage, and omni-channel capabilities along the supply chain. Think multi-directional supply chains rather than upstream and downstream of DC. For all the reasons described, supply and replenishment of retail will become increasingly challenging. While some retailers are rationalizing ranges overall, others are adding complexity in terms of cluster and local ranging. In terms of throughput, our approach needs to be more flexible. There will be fewer predictable delivery waves during collection changes in soft lines, for example. Instead, we need inbuilt alternative processes, easy-to-shift capacities, and flexible scalability of systems that will make us less susceptible to disruption. For leading players, demand planning, warehouse management, and warehouse control systems are no longer separate, and leading hardware suppliers also supply the software to run this new complex show. The importance of supply chain resilience has been a lesson hard learnt over recent years, with unprecedented disruptions in both supply and demand, new regulations, security and safety issues, and inconsistent availability of staff. Global conflicts continue to affect us in previously unanticipated ways, and local disruptions, as we know, are many and varied. The expected increased frequency and severity of climate events can only complicate matters further. In this world, the ability of stores to act like distribution hubs has become essential in some cases, with stores or bespoke last-mile hubs enabling localized, rapid fulfillment. But we can't talk about resilience without addressing load shedding. It is now painfully clear that load shedding will remain a feature of the medium term, and businesses simply need to find innovative ways to keep operations running. As examples, Energy Partners designed, invested in, and constructed a 360 million rand integrated refrigeration, power, and steam plant, which it will operate and maintain over the next 20 years, while Clover pays them a fee per unit of the refrigeration and steam it uses. This is enabling a potential reduction of nearly 800 million rand in operational costs over the period for Clover, on top of the benefits of uninterrupted power supply. In another example, Pick n Pay entered into a power purchase and rental agreement model to finance a 250 kilowatt solar system for their Brackenfell DC. The landlord leased the property roof to a solar developer, allowing the tenant to benefit from green and secure power. I'm sure there are other great examples in the room of ever innovative South Africans making a plan. Automation is topic number 3 and a big one. The pressure on businesses globally to restructure and find savings, reduce labor requirements, and to shorten lead times is driving increasing levels of investment in automation. This aims to increase productivity and throughput at reduced cost, and also to integrate e-commerce into normal operations, as in those developed markets, the sheer scale doesn't allow for many other options. Whether in picking, higher density storage, or fully automated fulfillment, automated processes are being applied to optimize outbound volumes. Developed markets are turning to automation partly because, as mentioned, there are fewer workers interested in performing basic tasks. These markets both can afford automation and margins can handle depreciation costs. Pets at Home is a great example of leadership in this space. They have won 65,000 square meter DC that serves the UK and their growing 15-country network of European stores, as well as their online offer. They have pick tunnels, bulk picking, and pick-to-person, all in that one DC. IKEA, in contrast, have focused their supply chain innovation on their back-of-house in stores, and they're enabling them to deliver superior customer service in each store and online on the back of highly efficient processes and near-perfect stock accuracy. Here in South Africa, the recently opened PEP Hammersdale and TFG eThekwini facilities and the Truworth DC opening the Cape next year feature significant investment in integration and automation, but also retain manual aspects, as do the latest ShopRite and Pick n Pay DCs in grocery. In Africa, we do need to find the happy medium, driving productivity, lowering cost, and mitigating against labor unrest, but not overcapitalizing or creating reputational issues through significant job losses. Instead, we might focus more on getting the most out of our total space in DCs and optimize the cube. Given e-commerce is and will remain relatively small by comparison to the rest of the world here, we need to find innovative ways to integrate e-commerce into our existing supply chain, as bespoke infrastructure is unlikely to be viable. Now, good data is, of course, the foundation of a successful supply chain. And digital transformation is shaping the future of retail supply chains worldwide. Globally, technologies already mentioned, such as AI, the Internet of Things, Bluetooth Low Energy, RFID, and blockchain, are revolutionizing how supply chains function. The integration of these technologies can lead to a more streamlined, efficient, and customer-centric supply chain that can adapt more easily to the rapidly changing demands of the modern retail landscape. AI and machine learning are the foundation of predictive analytics tools to forecast and manage supply chain demand and enhance inventory management. They process vast amounts of data to predict future trends or model scenarios, allowing businesses to make more informed decisions. IoT devices enable real-time tracking of products across the supply chain, from manufacture to delivery. This visibility improves control, reduces errors, and enhances customer satisfaction. Integrating IoT into smart warehousing operations allows for smarter storage solutions where temperature, humidity, and inventory levels can be monitored and controlled remotely. Blockchain technology secures transactions and information sharing, thereby reducing fraud and optimizing data integrity. And overall, these technologies provide all parties involved in the supply chain with a clear and unchangeable record of transactions, a transparency that fosters trust and collaboration. And then finally, to our key theme again. Achieving more sustainability in our supply chains requires big shifts. Most fundamentally is to reconsider where we source or grow our raw materials and where we manufacture, shortening distances to market where possible. In agriculture, we must increasingly apply leading practice thinking in water management, crop protection, and regenerative techniques to sustain productivity and soil health at reduced chemical load. Similarly, in manufacturing, innovation must drive new processes requiring less water, chemical inputs, and reducing waste. Product packaging must be optimized for merchandising and shelf life, with packaging for transport being renewable, reusable, and space efficient, with foldable crates a great example of being effective in movement from DC to store, but also super effective when combined with dollies and space efficient once folded in store. Ideally, transit and handling packaging is multifunctional to allow the use of the store as the micro-distribution hub. Combining reusable equipment with IoT devices to track and trace will become a great enabler in many ways. In our DCs, we must seek to reduce the kilos of steel that are being moved to retrieve one item. In those parts of fulfillment that are fully automated, we can also use less light, heating, or cooling than previously required to accommodate the needs of personnel. DCs and other facilities must become self-sufficient in energy and ideally water use also, another route to also reducing costs. Better route planning must reduce the number, volume, and distance covered by transportation, and those vehicles must in time, of course, be carbon neutral. Ultimately, we can expect application in a number of industries of extended producer responsibility, or EPR, a regulatory tool that requires producers to be significantly responsible for their post-consumer product. Producers pay the full net costs of the packaging waste they produce. The objective of the legislation being enacted in the UK and Europe in the coming years is to reduce excessive packaging, increase packaging recyclability, ensure more packaging gets recycled, and make available better quality of material for recycling, and ensure less packaging is, of course, littered or goes to landfill. By focusing on responsible agriculture and manufacturing practices, local sourcing, renewable energy utilization, packaging innovation, and collaboration between the government and industry, South Africa can position itself as a leader in sustainable supply chain practices. In closing, my job today was to highlight some of the key global and local trends and themes at play in retail, and to give you a sense of what these scenarios mean for our supply chains locally. This is clearly not business as usual. These shifts in consumer behavior and industry dynamics are already taking place globally, and our market is never far behind. We have world-class grocery, fashion, and drugstore retailers in South Africa seeking to deploy cutting-edge insights and technology to drive their businesses forward, and high standards of regulation and governance of our retail sector. The pressure to transform our value chains in line with these trends and new practices will be high, but our challenge as leaders is to find a middle ground that is practical in the unique context of Africa. Collaboration, innovation, and adaptability will be key, and selecting experienced advisory partners can add huge value in helping you choose the right course for your particular business and context. This sector is a major contributor and force for good in our economy. Continued investments in technology, skill development, and infrastructure can foster growth and set South Africa's farmers, manufacturers, retailers, and supply chain partners on a path towards a vibrant and resilient future. I hope that's been helpful, and thank you for your attention, and many, many thanks to the Impact team for the opportunity to share these thoughts, and to Craig Pershouse at Damon and my ex-colleague Cobus Barnard, now at Fortner, for sharing their insights with me, and finally to Sunita at Retailigence for bringing this story so beautifully to life. Thank you again. Thank you.